and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. We are discussing the big takeaways from the Maharashtra election. While we are recording, the Chief Minister hasn't yet been announced, but the strength of the win, the sweep of the of the Mahayuti alliance, what went wrong for the Mahavikas Aghadi, what are the lessons for the Congress, the takeaways, what does it say for the BJP? Does it really need the RSS to win elections more than it needs Modi? These are some things that we are going to be discussing today. Joining me on the panel is Rasheed Kidwai. He is the author of 24 Akbar Road. He's also a political strategist, political commentator, and journalist. Sanjay Jha, he's a former Congress spokesperson and still a very loyal Congress leader. And Tehseen Poonawala, he's a political strategist, Congress sympathizer also. So Tehseen and Sanjay, you are both really on the ground over there. So I'll get it, a feedback from you first. Tehseen, what is happening on ground over there? In terms of the Congress, what is the big picture? What went wrong? What are the takeaways?
Priya, thank you for having me on the show. Namaste to all my fellow panelists and all your viewers. Two or three things. I am astounded with how, after Haryana, another self-poll was scored. I'm astounded. I kept telling every single MBA leader, I told them, what are we doing? First of all, this woke idea or this absolutely champagne and cheese idea that Uddhav Thackeray ji should have been projected as chief minister. I mean, what were we smoking? So, because some of our people gave this idea, or Sanjay Raut got this great brainwave, all throughout the election, he kept attacking the Congress that Uddhav Thackeray ji should be chief minister. It really scared the people. Matlab, sarkar bani nahi hai and you're fighting over chief minister. This is the first thing. Number two, we should have been very clear that yes, the Uddhav Thackeray faction got vote in Lok Sabha, but that was a Congress vote. The core Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray group, the Hindutva vote went with BJP, the Marathi Manus went with Eknath Shinde. So what was Uddhav ji banking on? He was banking on the Muslim vote. But the Muslims were disappointed after the Lok Sabha election. On all these issues, he walked out. They were not taking a clear stand. So there was this issue. Third, you see, polarization doesn't work. Let me be very clear. Polarization doesn't work. If at all there is more polarization in Jharkhand than in Maharashtra, polarization only works if you react to polarization. So in Jharkhand, Hemant Sorenji did not react, Congress did not react. They kept saying outsiders, Beti Bahu. They kept saying tribal pride, JMM and Congress, and we will give you these yojana, this yojana, this yojana. Outsiders are coming to Jharkhand. In Maharashtra, those images of one Mohtarma and her Shauhar getting pictures with this rabid Maulana who spoke about Taliban rule and women not being educated. That other Maulana who was wanted to do Ghazwa Hind, and Rasheed ji will bear with me. मतलब पायजामा पूरा नहीं पहन सकते, आपको गजवा हिंद करना है. तो मतलब this bankruptcy, it created a counter polarization. Again, it created that fear factor. Polarization only works if there's another side polarization. Why did you have to respond? And I'll tell you something very personal. So this Yasin Malik's wife wrote this letter to Rahul ji. Rahul ji till date hasn't got that letter. Rasheed ji, please note. Sanjay, please note. He still not got that letter. This letter पहुंचा BJP के प्रवक्ताओं के पास. Why do you have to react? Let Yasin Malik wife write a letter, or let Barack Obama write a letter. Why do we have to react to it? You speak about the cotton farmers, the soybean farmers, you're reacting to that letter.
Okay, so they went off message basically, yeah.
And the worst was the BJP and playing on Sanjay Raut. I'll just end with one thing and one data. That Muslim votes are only for the NDA was the biggest mistake. So in Worli, Balasaheb Thackeray's grandson won because of Raj Thackeray. Otherwise, 25% Muslim votes went to Milind Deora. Please check the data for yourself. So, Balasaheb Thackeray's grandson only won because of Raj Thackeray. Had Raj Thackeray not been there, Balasaheb Thackeray's grandson would have lost and Milind would have won. That's the fact.
Okay. Sanjay, you also takeaways from the, the first impressions from Maharashtra.
Hi, Priya. Let me tell you that one of the biggest lessons of politics is that a week is a long time in politics. This is not some kind of an empty, hollow adage. There's a reason why it has stayed consistent in all conversations across countries when it comes to elections. And 5 months is a long time. I know that everybody is very surprised that the MVA led in 155 constituencies and it has been reduced to 50 in assembly. Which is like literally 1/3. Now, the reasons behind that are many. And I think one needs to concede that the Mahayuti actually recognized that after its I would say, shocking underperformance in the Lok Sabha, because Maharashtra is one of the results why Mr. Modi did not get an absolute majority in the Lok Sabha. I think the Maha Vikas Aghadi took the eye of the big prize. I'll agree with Tehseen on that point for sure, that there was an element of complacency and the belief that in 5 months, the situation cannot change dramatically. And one of the assumptions that a lot of people made was that if you do well in the Lok Sabha, which is normally meant to be more pro-center or pro-Modi, then it's likely that in the assembly you will actually do better, because it's going to be fought on hyper-local issues. So the general assumption became that the Mahavikas Aghadi will end up at 175, 180, far above the halfway mark. Now that can lull you into a great deal of complacency. Now, if you look at the situation in Maharashtra, I'm telling you, based on the mudde, as we call it, Mahayuti should have been devastated. Unemployment is a big issue in Maharashtra. It's not a standard trope that is used in 9 p.m. shows. It is a big challenge. Food inflation is skyrocketing, not just regular inflation, food inflation, which affects a common man. Manoj Jarange Patil was hostile to Devendra Fadnavis. And it was expected that the Maratha agitation would, in fact, dent the BJP once again. And don't forget, the Congress did very well in both Marathwada and Vidarbha. So I would say that Western Maharashtra looking good for the NCP Congress combined, and Mumbai, the bastion of the Shiv Sena, actually made a lot of us, including me, I'll be very honest, that out of the 6 regions of Maharashtra, the MBA would be ahead in at least 4. The Thane,
But then what?
and the Konkan belt would go with Shiv Sena and the BJP. And North Maharashtra was up for grabs. It was not like it would be totally.
A little bit, Sanjay, away from the detailing, the election is over, but looking ahead.
I would say looking ahead, one thing, I mean, let's look at the hard numbers. Post the 2014 Lok Sabha, you have 2 states that have gone to the India Alliance, Jammu and Kashmir and Jharkhand. Let's not try and, kind of ignore them just because the mainstream media doesn't talk about them because they went anti-BJP. I think Jammu and Kashmir was a good victory for the India Alliance, a critical state that, did not fall entirely into the Article 370 issue. And Jharkhand is, I think, a remarkable victory for JMM Congress. And full credit to Hemant Soren and Kalpana Soren in particular. But going forward, I think the perception, and which is bad for the Congress, I believe, the perception that the Congress blew away Haryana and therefore allowed the ramifications of that to play in Maharashtra, where once again the MVA lost. With the principal architect, the Congress not performing well at all, having the lowest strike rate, I think it in a way it dents the enthusiasm and the tailwinds that were in favor of the opposition alliance. That's where we stand today.
We're also joined by Daniel Francis. He's an election strategist and someone who has worked very closely with Eknath Shinde's Sena. So good time to have you over here, Daniel. But before I come to you, I just want to go to Rasheed. Rasheed, the big takeaways is what we were discussing from the Maharashtra election. And Sanjay Jha said that, look, let's not ignore Jharkhand and J&K. But that's my problem with the Congress. In both these states, they've played a supporting role. They haven't been the main lead player as they were perhaps in Haryana. And in Maharashtra, we can figure out what kind of role they played. Did they hand it over to Uddhav on a platter, as Tehseen has just pointed out?
Yeah. So, Priya, in long and short of this whole outcome has been that the Congress and India Alliance both put together are back to pre-June 4th, 2024 position, which is what they are all happy to be unhappy. And that is their, sort of state of mind. And therefore, there is no way forward. I see the India Alliance, breaking into, sort of pieces because Aam Aadmi Party is already away. Mamata Banerjee is unhappy. It's a time before JMM and, NC Farooq Abdullah, etc. They go away. So therefore, Congress has to stitch its own sort of, strength. And that is where this comes in. Remember, the Congress has largely outsourced electioneering to, poll strategist, and we have a poll strategist here. Therefore, it's not out of place. Now, what were poll strategists doing? The gentleman who was looking after the Congress has started working from January onwards. He did not do Lok Sabha election. I would repeat, he did not do Lok Sabha election because he wanted to focus on Maharashtra. And what is the outcome? if in 29 places, if MBA alliance partners come third, in the sense that, they are behind the Mahayuti and there is someone else, that tells you about the candidate selection and why these people are retained and tried. We all know what happened in Haryana. There are a lot of reports were there how a lady got 7,000 votes and she was graded as, A plus chances of winning. I think Rahul Gandhi and Kharge, they do not believe in any sense of accountability. They believe in giving 9 crore rupees invite to a poll strategist, and they are very happy their conscience is clean that Congress people did not get that money. So this is a in-house thing. 3 poll strategists they have tried, and look at their track record where they are. I don't want to name all of them and that is what the Congress does not want to build its own election management authority or election management system. And the same thing, the people, last word from my side in the sense on this topic. Now, what are Congress people praying? They're praying that, Kerala elections are advanced and Mr. K.C. Venugopal is projected as a chief ministerial candidate and a state PCC center executive chief. If this is the level of the Congress
management
strategy, look at all the future elections, Delhi, Delhi, Bihar, then again back to Kerala, Tamil Nadu and all. So Congress does not have an election for itself. So they are really tied themselves in knots. And as I'm also, yeah.
Fair enough. But we all have someone here who does a bit of election strategy and very successfully. So, Daniel, what worked for Eknath Shinde? Was it his image? Because I was there in Mumbai during the elections and I remember having that conversation with you also. There was a lot of feedback on his track record. Forget the alliance, but Eknath Shinde per se, in terms of delivery, in terms of the Ladli Behna scheme, etc. So, what worked for you guys?
2-3 things work. First, I'll talk about Eknath Shinde as a party and as an individual, and then about the coalition, that why the coalition also worked. One is that Eknath Shinde is really a very hardworking man, 24/7 politician. If you ask him to work for 2 or 3 continuous days, he will work for 2 and 3 continuous days. He's gets excited when he sees people. He likes to have people around. And solving problems not the traditional way, dekha jayega, dekh lenge, kal aana, file pe dalo, all these things he doesn't believe in. And the kind of work that he did, see, he's a very solid product. He's not something that you have told that you do something like this. We just worked on what he was. He had solid strengths, and that started building trust and value for him amongst people, amongst masses. At the end of the day, who votes for you? Masses vote for you. And why they vote for you? Because they trust you, because they think that you are doing something for them.
What was his equation with the rest of the alliance, in terms of the BJP? Because while we are talking, the CM phase has still not been decided.
I will tell you what mistakes the Mahayuti did during Lok Sabha. Those mistakes, they did not repeat in assembly. And I could see the Congress and the alliance partners doing the same mistake, or perhaps more, to damage their prospect. Congress is like that tortoise and hare story, that hare goes ahead, little bit ahead, and then he goes and sleeps saying that baki ke to main chhod diya piche. It's like that. So that Nana Patoli are very uninspiring people. Today, people want inspiring leadership. People want leadership of confidence. अरे ये मराठा है, ये जाट है, ऐसा नहीं वोट कर रहे लोग. There's a lot of demographic change that we are seeing. We are also seeing an aspirational class, an aspirational zaat, as I may say, of what they want to, they want to know what you're going to do for them, how you're going to do for them. We have to be at the forefront of their battle and not make them follow us in our battles. So that's very interesting. And what happened is that there was serious coordination amongst these 3 parties. First of all, they settled their seats earlier in the day. Then they started focusing on their seats. Each one was given seats according to their strength. And then the election went really smooth because there was single message. Secondly, they had created around 6.5 crores to 7 crores labhartis through different schemes. And we were hammering them.
Okay, so there were better organized welfare schemes and coordination. I'm going to take a quick break and come back to you, but after the quick break. Hello and welcome back to the Roundtable. We're here discussing the lessons from Maharashtra. And Tehseen, one of the, what Daniel spoke about was the leadership. You are going into the old caste combinations. Congress didn't even have an inspiring leader. How much of the Congress put their weight behind Uddhav? As you said, Uddhav took the lead. That is still a huge issue with you. But in Haryana, you had a good leader. Wahan par bhi nahi chala.
So there were two things that happened, the commonality between Haryana and Maharashtra. But I want to say something else, but let me just address this since you've said this. I agree with Daniel on two issues. The commonality between Haryana and Maharashtra was the polarization. On Haryana, the polarization was on caste basis, though the leadership rightly was inspiring, but at the same time, what was a need of segregating the Dalit leadership? You please see, Congress's core voters have always been Muslims and Dalits, and then you have either the Brahmin, either earlier it used to be Brahmin, Muslim, Dalit. So, you completely alienated the Dalit leadership in Haryana. Then you got an Ashok Tawar who सब जगह पर जाकर आए थे, फिर उसको आपने last में लिया. Very bad messaging. So that counter polarization worked on the caste issues. Now in Maharashtra, as I explained earlier, there was polarization by the BJP, but the counter polarization happened when Mohtarma and Chauhar, when all of them went to these Maulanas. That created counter polarization. There was no need to have listened to these Maulanas. I personally, again, I'll tell you one more thing. I told the MBA leadership that when this ulema letter came, reply to them saying, don't vote for us. But if you're voting for us, vote for us because we are Maharashtrian. Don't vote on religious lines. You will win the elections. So, nahi, meri baat. You're flirting with them. It doesn't work. But let me say a larger issue. I'll tell you where we are still wrong. Really, because I support them. I went from Delhi to Pune to vote for them. I'll tell you where we are wrong. Yesterday, Sanjay Rautji did a press conference. And he said, Dekho, Eknath Shinde ji nahi ban rahe. Dekho, Ajit Pawar ji nahi ban rahe. So, because Rasheed ji is from UP, I will say a little saying from UP, and it's Eastern UP ka saying. Zindagi jhandwa, fir bhi ghamandwa. In Mumbai language we'll say Sanjay Raut ji नीचे टंगड़ी ऊपर, टंगड़ी is leg ऊपर. भैया आप चुनाव हार गए हो, आपके पास विधायक नहीं है, आप इस पे हंस रहे हो कि एकनाथ शिंदे जी को क्या मिलेगा, अजीत पवार जी को. भैया उनके पास 50 एमएलए थे, आपके पास राज्यसभा जाने को विधायक नहीं, और आपका ये घमंड. Then you blame the Chief Justice of India. मतलब there is something seriously wrong, and if it isn't comedy, it is tragic. The guy needs help. But this is the face of your alliance. You come out, and I'm not saying this today. I've always told you this, Priya. Always shows I've told you. I'll just end by saying this man and this alliance should have been distanced Uddhavji in 2023. I'll just end in 2023. The seriousness of this man. He wrote a letter to United Nations saying declare June 20th as anti-traitor day. This is the IQ level of the combined Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray group. Why were we flirting with them? Why were we flirting? And again, if it not been for Raj Thackeray ji, Bala Sahib Thackeray's grandson would have lost. What a fight million game. He would have lost for that. Ask Daniel easier. Tell Daniel the data.
And I agree. Daniel will probably agree with you also. Sanjay, then what happens? Will this alliance continue with Uddhav Thackeray? There is the wrong narrative being followed, lack of leadership, lack of narrative. What is going to happen in Maharashtra?
Priya, I think there are 2 points to consider. One is the Maha Vikas Aghadi as an alliance is reduced to 50 seats. So you don't really have a choice but to be together. I mean, if at the moment they're not together, the opposition is literally absent, which is never good for democracy. I mean, like it or not, even if the MVA had won the way Mahayuti had won, I would not have been very happy because this is not good for any democracy, trust me. Now, here is the point that I think this election, frankly, I believe it was a local election. I know Mr. Modi went and made a speech in the evening and it appeared like a BJP show, but the fact remains this was a hyper or a local election. I think that the fact remains that you are going to see a lot of political turbulence in Maharashtra. I think Daniel Francis has every right to claim a lot of the credit for the way Eknath Shinde came across as a people's man, so on and so forth. And remember, This was a man many people, and I'm being blunt here, many people even in Maharashtra had not even heard of him. We are all political junkies, so we know. But ask the common man, many people had not heard of him in Maharashtra, other than those who follow politics very closely. When he became a chief minister, I think he surprised everybody. I think people had no idea that somebody could take on Bala Saheb Thackeray's son and become a chief minister supported by the BJP. But I do see a certain degree of a challenge for the Mahayuti, because end of day, the state's finances are literally in a very fragile position. And you can make all the promises, but execution will be difficult. I think the Mahayuti is a creation of a very conspiratorial politics of betrayal. And I think what you're witnessing today is the fact that the BJP is not trusted by either Eknath Shinde or Ajit Pawar, and vice versa, which is why you are going to see some time before a government gets formed. But watch the space. I do believe that things change dramatically in politics. There will be a BMC election. I don't agree with Tehseen when he says that the Supreme Court's, rubbishing by Sanjay Raut is totally a figment of his imagination. It is not. The truth is, if you read the entire essay on the way the government was formed, right till Rahul Narvekar's statement, even the Supreme Court was very explicit in saying that this is not a government that has been formed in a democratic fashion. So the Supreme Court not taking any action on the government itself helped the government take its chance and move on. And the election commission was compromised. If the election commission was not compromised, the Maharashtra election would have happened earlier. And all these
that the debate will go in a little another debate. One quick point, because
I have a lot of love and respect for Sanjay. I really love him a lot. But to say nobody knew Eknath Shinde is, I think that shows elitism. I'm really saying this. The guy joined politics in 1980. In 1980,
fine. So, yeah.
97, the guy was a corporator. He's a strong man of Thane. He's the one who beat Jitendra Awad. So, this elitism that just because somebody doesn't speak English, and that is why he chased Uddhav Thackeray.
No, that's not what he meant. He meant the national stage. Nobody knew, which is the way makes the. Okay, Rasheed, come in. Okay, Tehseen, we got your point. Let Rasheed come in. We're out of time. I want Daniel also. Rasheed.
Yeah, so I think what Daniel was saying, he's a spot on. You need to have a sense of purpose. You need to have a lot of commitment. And Priya, that is where I think there is a big difference between BJP, Congress, MVA, Mahayuti, or any kind of, combination. You look at the fact about this, election malpractices, the doubt over EVM. What is opposition doing? They are looking in a public domain, very silly, because they are talking, different people are saying different things. If they feel very strongly that Maharashtra election was rigged, they can, all the, 49 people can resign and make it just like, one party thing. And it will have some shock value. Whether how will it play out, we do not know. But opposition doesn't have any sense of purpose. Priya, just one last thing. See, you look at that 48 hours between November 23rd, when the verdict came out, and the Lok Sabha met. What was leader of opposition doing? He was there in whichever order you look at it, from Delhi to Shimla to Jaipur to Chandigarh and the back. So what was he doing in all these places? Jaipur, a wedding. Shimla, sort of personal life. Chandigarh, again a wedding, I would assume. And that. So, and first day not making an appearance at 11 a.m. in the morning in Lok Sabha when, you lost election. So I think there are a lot of things that you need, to projection and get your act together. The, this India Alliance is not doing, Congress is not doing, and that is why among various other factors, they are doomed.
Daniel, it really comes down to, the opposition is not getting his act together. How will you work in coordination? Is there enough trust between, because each one has got a good strike rate? How is this government going to work?
The government eventually will be formed sooner or later. Sometimes government with bigger mandates are formed, take more time than the governments with lesser mandates. That aside, because Mr. Shinde has a claim on the mandate. The BJP, being the largest party, also has a claim on the mandate. So they will sort it out, keeping in mind. But one has to realize that the people sitting in Delhi are politically very strong and wise people, and they will take the right decision what's good for Maharashtra. Nevertheless, Mr. Shinde is a unique man because Yes, people did not know him before he became the chief minister. But when you come to an important chair, how you utilize it to further the interest of your party, the state, and your own interest later is an exceptional example in that.
Right.
People had got power in the past, but they destroyed it with their own hands.
Yeah.
Here you have somebody who's created an image bigger than many of his contemporaries, and also established himself as a legitimate Shiv Sainik. People have bought that argument. Today, Uddhav Thackeray has got 20 seats, out of which 20 seats, 8 to 10 seats are because of the traditional Congress vote. I don't want to call it minority, majority, and look at it from a communal angle, but traditionally Congress vote. Tomorrow, if he breaks an alliance with the Congress and this vote goes back to the Congress party, he's finished anyway. But Uddhav Thackeray had a chance to consolidate his party and position in national politics as he became chief minister, but he couldn't handle the party. Same story with Congress party. They can't handle the party. They are focusing on their own Ladki Bahin in Wayanad. And here Ladki Bahin is sweeping election in Maharashtra. They are a personality obsessed and family obsessed party. They are not obsessed by their bogus presentation of their own ideology. They don't stand up. They don't bring accountability in the organizations. They don't lead from the front, only posturing as such.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you one thing, that they are doing worse than 2014 in many ways. Let's not be worse than 2014. And the state finances will be in doldrums and all. Center and state, if you have both the governments, finances can be managed. What will you do about Karnataka, where the state finance, our ministers and MLAs are crying that we are not getting any funding? So there is big issue.
And Himachal Bhavan is up for sale.
I am telling you one small thing. Jab tak Rahul hai, tab tak BJP, NDA safe hai.
You have Tehseen looking daggers at you on that point. But on that note, thank you so much, all of you. Okay.
It's a day to celebrate.
Is he saying Vikram Betal's story?
He hasn't yet said it. On that note, thank you all for this conversation, and we're going to keep track more on what's happening in Maharashtra and the impact of it on the national narrative also. But for now, thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.